Hey everybody, and welcome back to Cooking It Real. Are y'all going to a cookout this weekend? Are you getting together with family and friends? Maybe a neighborhood block party, something like that? What are you going to bring? You got to bring something. Well, I have got a dish for you today that is not only healthy, but it is crowd pleasing, economical, and can stand up to summer's heat. And it's starring, guess what? Kale. Don't run away. Don't run away. I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you how to turn a kale hater into a kale liker. And it's not that hard. And you're going to love it too. So stay with me and let's do this. I'm going to take you down to the board so you can see what I'm going to do with this kale. First off, I have to tell you, look at this beautiful kale. This was all harvested from our garden this morning. We planted this kale when? In the spring, and it has just grown beautifully. And I'm going to put a little clip of the harvest in this video. We decided that it was time to take up the kale so that we would have room for other things in this garden bed. So this is how much we got. And oh, it's so exciting. Look how green and beautiful it is. Now, if you are going to the store to buy kale, you want to buy about 2 bunches of kale. Okay, that would be about 12 stems or so. Usually there's 6 to 8 stems in a bunch, and they're really easy to prepare and get ready for a kale salad. Now, I'm going to show you a trick that's going to make this kale salad not be like any kale salad you might have ever had before. Okay, and this is all you have to do to strip the leaves off the stems. It's pretty easy. Like these little ones like this, you can just leave those. They're tender enough, but you do want to take off the stems. We're going to feed all our stems to the worms. Now, if you're not growing your own kale, I would recommend buying it in bunches at the store. You can find it generally year-round. It's more of a spring or a fall crop if you're buying it from the farmer's market. But this is the end of June. It's almost 4th of July, and our kale is just being harvested, so it's perfect. And we're going to be having this for our 4th of July celebration. These stems, if you wanted to, you could cook them up, but we're just gonna feed them to our little buddies, the worms. Put them in my little compost bucket. All right, now I have washed this kale thoroughly in several changes of water. When you are farming organically, you have to be mindful that there might be little buggies, little friends that hang along on the leaves. So what I do is when we harvest the kale, we'll put it in a sink full of cold water to which I've added either about 1/4 cup of kosher salt or about 1/2 cup of vinegar. Now, if I'm harvesting something that we're not going to eat the outer peel, like say a cucumber, a squash, that thing, I will use the vinegar. Okay, but if you don't want a taste of something on your produce, like if it's tomatoes that you're washing, you might want to just use the salt. And what that'll do is that'll draw out any little friends who might have decided to hitch a ride. Now this stuff is very easy to cut, and what you do is I'm going to push half of this over onto the clean counter and just show you a little bit. I get some bits and pieces here, but I like to stack leaves like one on top of the other like this. Okay, you can pile some of these on, and then I'll put this over here just for right now, and then you roll it up like so, And then you want to slice this kale into thin ribbons. And some of it won't be ribbons, it'll be kind of like bits, but that's okay because kale is a very sturdy green, which is probably why, if you don't know my little trick to make this kale soft and tender, you may have turned your back on fresh raw kale salads. All right, I'm just gonna get all this kale chopped up and put in the bowl, and then we will continue. Now this little stem I think is just a little too coarse, so I'm gonna let that go. All right, that's a fine mess of kale we got here. That looks like a pretty big salad, but we're gonna do something that's gonna change it a little bit. You'll see. Hang on. Now, before I show you my little trick, we're gonna start prepping what else is gonna go in our salad. So we're gonna have some bell pepper. I've chosen a red and a yellow and some carrot. And then we're gonna make a dressing. Let's see, let's start with the carrot. All right, we're gonna peel it. And normally I would put these peels in my scrap bag in the freezer, but I've got a bunch of carrot peels, so today it's gonna go in the compost. All right, now if you can't, where's my knife? There it is. Can't find fresh bundles of kale in your grocery, you can always use the bagged kale. But if you do, I'm going to suggest that you pick through it very carefully. I have found with the bagged kale that most of it is like stems, you know, so I would go through it very carefully. I would take out all the stems and I would pick the most tender leaves that I could find. It might not be your best bet, I'm just saying. So I would try to find the good stuff if I could. And if you're growing your own, good on you. Kale is easy to grow. Ooh, watch out for my nails. Corrine would hate me if I ripped off my polish. All right, I'm gonna put this off to the side. Good, good, good. Now the reason that this holds up so well at a picnic or a barbecue or something like that is because of the dressing. Now, when you think of cookouts and barbecues and side dishes and things like that, personally, I always think of things like potato salad, macaroni salad, and things like that. And what do they have that this doesn't have is dairy. You know, there's no mayonnaise in this. There's no cheese. There's no sour cream or yogurt dressing or anything like that. Nothing that's going to make the going to make it unsafe for you to keep this out at either room temperature or, backyard temperature, actually. I got this recipe in 2011 from a Martha Stewart program that was called Mad Hungry. Martha wasn't on that program, but one of her contributors was, and her name was Lucinda Scala Quinn. And I remember that this program, Mad Hungry, was about what she did to feed her like 3 teenage boys. And when they would come home from school and be mad hungry. And it's kind of funny because, now that I'm sure everyone has heard the term hangry, like if you're angry because you're so hungry. Well, this was what? In 2011, that would be, 10, 12 years ago. I think hangry hadn't quite come into the lexicon at that point. So Lucinda Scala Quinn was ahead of her time. But anyway, if you've ever fed teenage boys, you know how much they can eat. And I mean, they can eat a ton. All right, I think that I'm going to just use some of this pepper. I'm going to cut it all up, but I'm not going to use it all in this salad because I don't have a ton of greens. And I definitely can use this in salads for the week for Will. And we won't be any worse off. Do you all like to prep things ahead of time for your week, like your work lunches or school lunches? I know it's not school time right now, but do you do that, or is it just like a mad scramble every single time you're coming upon a meal? I think here in this house, it's about 50-50. Sometimes I feel really motivated and get a lot of things done in advance. And then other times it's just like, what time is it? Oh no, we got to get something on the table. All right. You want these peppers cut in nice thin strips. So what do you all do when you're going to a cookout or a barbecue or something like that, and the host or hostess says, bring a dish to share? Do you have a go-to? Is this is it something that puts you in a panic? This is one of my go-tos for absolute sure. And since I got this recipe in 2011, I think the first time I made it was not for a summer thing, but it was for Christmas or Thanksgiving, one or the other. But oh my, it was so good. And it has been a staple for our holidays and get-togethers with our family and friends ever since. And now my son Brian, who lives in Texas, is a vegetarian, but he wasn't always. In fact, he was so not a vegetarian that he would not eat anything that was a leaf. He could not, I guess, tolerate the feel of a leaf on his tongue. But he loves this dish now. Okay, now here comes my trick. I just re-washed my hands really well, and this is what you want to do. You want to take your bowl and put them in a big bowl. It's much easier if you start in a big bowl and then you can move it to a serving bowl later. You want to put your hands into your kale and you want to squeeze it. You want to squeeze it. Like not like you're massaging it, but like you're trying to wring its neck, okay? There's nothing gentle about this. You just want to squeeze it. Ugh. And this is not in the recipe as it was printed and as I got it in the beginning, but it was a tip I learned along the way that has made all the difference. Ooh, you really gotta kind of get on your tippy toes and just squeeze down on it. Can you see how it's changing a little bit? I should have showed you. Well, I did show you the before. Wait till you see the after. Oh. What this is doing is it's breaking down the cell walls of the kale, and it's making it more tender. So when you take a bite of it, it's not going to be hard or crunchy. It's going to be much softer, much more delicate. Oh my goodness. Oh, all right. I'm going to show you this. Can you see that? Can you see that now? How it's softer. There's more moisture because all the water, if you will, is coming out of the cell linings. I squeeze it just a little bit more. Okay. If you really get into it, it just takes a couple minutes. It's not going to hurt you too much unless you have very weak wrists, which at my age sometimes now I do. I think that is the life of knitting and crocheting that has, instead of making them stronger, they're more, I don't know, they're more old lady like now. All right, so we're going to make our dressing next. For the dressing, I brought out my big honking blender, my Vitamix. This thing can blend 2x4s into peanut butter. I love it. Anyway, let's start. Wait, before we start with the dressing, let me invite you all to like this video if you're enjoying it, if you're having a good time, if you're learning something new. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. To all our new subscribers, and I have, as of this minute, 259. It is so exciting to me, and I appreciate each and every one of you. Anyway, let's do the dressing. All right, we're going to start with a half a cup of vegetable oil. I'm using canola oil. You can use whatever oil is your favorite, but something light. We're just going to put that in the blender. That's a half a cup. And then we're going to use apple cider vinegar. That will be a 1/4 cup. Now I got oil on my hands. Ooh. I gotta wash my hands again, hang on. I don't know about y'all, but I feel like sometimes when I'm cooking, I spend as much time washing my hands as I do cooking anything. All right, 1/4 cup of apple cider vinegar. We're going to need 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. And when you measure brown sugar, you always pack it tightly. So you press down on the spoon to make sure it's in there tightly. That's a 1 and a 2 and let's see, a 1/4 cup. Whoop, that's heavy. A 1/4 cup of salted peanuts. Now, if you don't have peanuts like these, you can use peanut butter, 1/4 cup of peanut butter, but because most commercial peanut butters are so sweet, you might want to dial back your brown sugar just a little bit. And a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I'm just gonna eyeball that one. All right, put that in, and then we're gonna blend it up. see how that looks. Woo! Oh, that's good. Oh, nice and vinegary and peanutty. I love peanuts. If you or some of the people that you're going to be with, if anyone has a peanut allergy, or if you're not sure and you don't want to take a chance, you can make this same dressing, but instead of using peanuts or peanut butter, you can use tahini, which is sesame paste. And we did a video just the other day where I made a hummus using tahini. So it acts like peanut butter. It almost tastes like peanut butter, but there's absolutely no peanuts in it. So it's absolutely safe for anybody with a peanut allergy. All right, now we're going to take our bowl of salad and we're going to mix it in this bowl, and then we're going to transfer it to a serving bowl. All right, and this is how simple it is. This is just about done. All right, let's put in some of our veggies. I'm going to do about half of these peppers, yellow, about half of the red ones, and then about half of this carrot. And like I said, the rest will go great in a salad for Will. If you're taking this to a cookout, a party, a picnic, whatever it is, I would recommend that you bring the dressing in a separate container and dress it right before you serve it. Okay, now this dressing has nothing in it that needs refrigeration, and neither does this. Everything's going to be fine. If you're making it in advance, though, I would store it in the refrigerator just for ease and all that, and because, you know, salads, people think of salads as being something that's cold, but this is just as good at room temp. So first we're going to mix up our veggies, just like so. Doesn't that look pretty? The darkness of the kale. I'm going to add some more of those yellow peppers. I think they add a really beautiful. Here we go. And you know, if you're not into peppers, you could do more carrot. You could do some celery or some little cherry tomatoes that you do in half or something like that. It's really kind of, you know, do what you want type of thing. Now, I'm just going to use about half of this dressing. And I'm going to save the rest for later in case we need more. And just give it a nice toss, just like so. Oh, it smells so good. It's got like such a brightness from that apple cider vinegar, and but you can really get the earthiness from the peanuts. This is going to be great. Let me get a serving dish. Let's just load this into here. I think I got just about the right amount of dressing on it. Of course, that's to your taste. If you like your salads a little more dressed, add a little more. A little less dressed, you can add a little less. You do you, right? Always. And now I have a quarter cup of peanuts, another quarter cup of peanuts that's roughly chopped. And I'm just going to sprinkle some of them on the top. And this is especially good if you are using peanuts, to put them on the top so that people know that there are peanuts in there, and that anyone that needs to stay away from them can stay away from them. So let's give this baby a taste, shall we? Sweet, crunchy, not overpowering of kale. The peanuts, of course, give it a big crunch, but the carrots and the peppers are crunchy as well. This is delicious. And it's good for you too. One more bite. So listen. If you want to do something to amaze your friends and family, serve them up something healthy and delicious at your next get-together, try this kale salad, and it might make a kale hater into a kale liker. And hopefully we'll see you again on the next episode of Cooking It Real. Bye everybody. Happy 4th of July. Oh, and check your teeth for green stuff.